Welcome to another edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report. I'm Doug Weischadle here with Dave Weischadle. We're here to give you a whip-around look at some of the latest news coming out of the casino and sports betting industries. This week in our state and national reports, we're going to be doing April, May, and June numbers.
Okay.
Deals, we've got a social media deal to discuss. We've got a football deal to discuss, as well as a sailing deal to discuss.
Sailing. We haven't had sailing in a long time. We might have never had sailing, so
No.
I'm not sure. So.
Industry updates, licenses, launches, and a couple C&Ds, cease and desists.
Okay.
Legislative roundup, we've got Illinois, Louisiana, and Maine to discuss. We'll start talking state and national reports right after this.
The average cost of mesothelioma treatment can exceed $400,000. Families often face losing their homes or life savings just to pay the bills. If you or a loved one worked in these industries and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, you may be entitled to compensation to protect your family. At Rights and Claims, we've helped families recover over $1 billion to cover medical costs, lost wages, and more. Let us help you secure their future with the compensation you deserve. Call 800-596-4889.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Book Report. I'm Doug Weischadle here with Dave Weischadle. We're going to be talking some state and national reports coming from April, May, and June. Like I had said at the top of the show, we'll probably have some more March numbers next week or the week after because of a couple stragglers that are going to be coming out.
Well, Arizona, they're going to release their probably March numbers in what? August or something like
Probably.
that?
But here we're going to be over in the state of Louisiana with their April sports betting report.
Starting at Louisiana.
Starting
Have
at
we ever
Louisiana.
started with Louisiana before? I know we've talked about Louisiana. Very interesting state.
Yes.
Because the entire state, sports betting isn't legal in the entire state in just certain parishes. So it's a very interesting state to take a look at.
Well, with their April report, the state of Louisiana passed $1.2 billion in gross gaming revenue.
Wow. Okay.
For the month of April, parlays, they accounted for $25.2 million of the total revenue from the state in the month of April. The total revenue was about $38.4 million and some change.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So parlays accounted for a good chunk of the revenue coming in.
Like they do in all states. That's why, if you ever log into your sports book, they have parlays at the very top,
Yes.
or they have a parlay builder or same game parlay specials or stuff like that. Parlays are really important for the sports books.
Well, I'm always amazed at the Louisiana report because their entire state is not really legalized sports betting. There's a couple parishes that don't have
like I
legalized
said,
sports betting.
the entire state isn't. Sports betting isn't legal in the entire
Yes.
state, so it's these are great numbers considering that fact.
Moving over to the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have their April sports betting report. Virginia has now passed $23 billion in all-time handle. They just recently launched the online side of everything, or the retail side of everything. They were online for a while.
It's a great market.
Yes.
They're over the last couple of years with their new casinos and poker rooms and sports betting. I mean, it's one of those emerging markets in the U.S. So.
Like I said, $23 billion in all-time handle, $2.2 billion in all-time gross gaming revenue, and all-time tax revenue has passed the $270 million mark,
which is really important for the states.
That's the key figure for them.
That's the number the states look at. So.
And now, instead of having multiple states to talk about, we just did two of them. We're basically going to be talking New York the rest of the way in this segment. Sure. Because New York...
Huge month.
Yes. Well, New York, besides doing weekly reports, and we have their first week of June, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
They released their May sports betting report for the entire month of May. New York State Gaming Commission for the month of May reported a new state/national record for adjusted gross revenue. And I said state/nationals because anytime New York does a record for a state, it's a national
record.
More often than not.
These numbers are always so good coming out of New York. When they break a state record, they usually break 9 times out of 10. They break a national record.
Yes.
So,
and
let me tell you something. I didn't sit and analyze these numbers because they just really came out just now before we started taping and everything. But I'm thinking they should send a bouquet of roses and thank you to the New York Knicks offices because I think this is what pushed them over the record-setting mark.
It was part of it. Yeah.
Look, it's great that the Yankees are number one team. The Mets are certainly hovering around that number one spot, but for the last couple of weeks in May, they were Knicks crazy in the New York area. So,
but the actual amount, since neither of us have said it so far, $249.3 million. Mm-hmm. That's the adjusted gross revenue for the month of May. It's consecutive months of setting national records for adjusted gross revenue. They set a record last month with April. Now they have May. New York has 19 of the 22 all-time U.S. monthly revenue totals, above $150 million in the post-PASPA era. Operators passed $6 billion in all-time revenue since the launch of both retail wagering and the mobile sports betting industry. They've also passed $1 billion in terms of year-to-date revenue, full year-to-date, not just fiscal year, but this is full year-to-date revenue. Year-to-date tax revenue, $551.2 million. All-time tax revenue has passed $3 billion. Wow. That's the number
insane.
they love.
Can you imagine if two New York teams were in the Super Bowl or World Series, the Yankees and the Mets in the World Series, or the Giants against the Bills in the Super Bowl? Can you imagine the numbers coming out of New York for that?
Yep.
It'd be insane.
In terms of monthly handle, this is the third consecutive month with at least $2 billion in monthly handle. 8 of the last 9 months were also over $2 billion in handle. Mm-hmm. Also, the fourth month of $2 billion this year in 2025. But moving over to the next report from New York released 2 reports. The week ending June 1st, which technically will be the first week of June. Fiscal year-to-date handle passed $5 billion already. And fiscal year-to-date handle counts the first week of April.
Okay.
That's all it counts in April 2025. That's where the fiscal year began. We've already passed $5 billion. Second consecutive week with at least $60 million in gross gaming revenue.
So we're a little
state.
over 2 months into the, the year.
Well,
the
technically, reporting-wise, right? we're two full months into the fiscal year.
That's insane, those numbers. Insane.
And it's the 7th time since the 2024 NFL season began that New York Sportsbook have reported a $60 million revenue week. So 7 times since the beginning of the NFL season this past NFL season.
Okay.
Doing well.
Yep, absolutely.
That's it for the state and national reports. We're going to start talking deals right now. Starting off our deals this week, we're going to be talking about a deal that U.S. customers can't even take advantage of.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
We have Polymarket announcing a deal with the social media platform X that will see Polymarket serve as the official prediction market to X and its customers outside the United States.
Yeah, why we can't, as U.S. citizens, take part in this is because it's betting on elections. Basically,
Polymarket was also served with a cease and desist and a get out of the United States letter.
They probably had stuff on the Pope too, so betting on the Pope too. So, it's huge. X has a big customer base, and that's something important. So, like I said, it's interesting to read about if you're here, but you really can't take part of it if you're a U.S. citizen or within the borders of the U.S.
Well, under the deal, Polymarket predictions will be combined with X data from the platform X to provide live insights, real-time annotations that will be given directly by Grok, which is their AI, whatever that creature is that they have roaming around the platform. And also other X posts. It's going to combine the real-time, the live insights with real-time annotations that are supplied by the site.
Now, us in the U.S., will we be able to see that? Will it be blocked from our view?
No word on whether or not.
How does that work?
I have
although
to take
we can't
a
take part in it, it'd be very interesting to look at. And very interesting
By the time this is airing, it's already been up and running for a while.
Okay,
so
all right. So
when I first saw this announced, I didn't see any kind of change in my setup for X when I was doing some work on it.
Okay,
but I don't know if anybody else did notice it in the days after that. Mm-hmm. Moving over to our football deal.
Okay.
We've got the NFL. NFL has announced a partnership with the International Center for Responsible Gambling or Gaming to fund research and educational resources aimed at addressing the growing concerns around gambling among college athletes and students.
Okay. That's good. Good move.
Yeah. Over 3 years, this partnership will be. The NFL will contribute $600,000 through the NFL Foundation, so one foundation to another, to support independent peer-reviewed research exploring the prevalence, risk factors, and impacts of gambling in college settings. That's according to the release.
Now, where can we read these studies, I guess they're going to do? I'm sure they're going to issue reports. Hopefully, they're going to issue reports. Where can I read these?
First, there's going to be a RFP, and everyone's got to bid on getting the grants before they can do anything. At that point, we'll know some more down the road.
All right.
But the initiative will also fund updates to ICRG. That's the abbreviation for the International Center for Responsible Gaming. They'll be updating existing educational materials aimed at preventing youth gambling exposure before college, which is kind of an important thing right now.
Absolutely. If you're in a state that allows, sports betting to 18 years old, that could be high school kids. I mean, high school.
Well, that's
students,
kind of what this is geared toward, and also as well as college. This is going hand in hand with what the NCAA is doing. I
gotta look and see how many states have an age of 18. So I don't know the number to that. I'm sure you don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just thinking about it. But I'm very curious to see how many states in the U.S. have, or jurisdictions in the U.S., I should be more specific, have, you're allowed to be 18 and you can sports bet. So.
Well, there's a couple of them. I know we're going to be talking about one in the next segment.
Okay.
So,
see, look at that. Look how I set you up for the next story. It's perfect.
Last deal of the week is our sailing deal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, you're correctly right in saying that we've never done a sailing deal before. We've never covered sailing at all in this show.
Is that something you can bet on?
It is now.
It is? Okay. All right.
It is now.
And by the way, we were at a city that loves sailing, and we are in Newport, Rhode Island, and I think it was during a regatta. It's not one of those. It's not really a spectator sport because you really can't. I couldn't see anything.
Well, no, this is what we're going to be talking about. Is SailGP.
All right. Okay.
It's a company that basically has 12 co-ed international teams racing identical 50-foot catamarans against each other.
All right.
The boats are going about 60 miles an hour or faster. Races take place alongside shorelines.
Oh, okay.
Where there are pop-up stadiums, so fans and cameras.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
They're doing this. They've been doing this for a while now. They're expanding, and part of their goals for expansion is expanding the audience and fan engagement. And when you use the phrase fan engagement, nowadays that usually means I got to get a sports betting deal.
Usually that's buzzwords for let's bet on this thing.
Yes. Well, they now have deals.
Oh,
not just one, but deals, plural. Right. We have a deal with Draftkings in the United States for SailGP.
All right.
And a deal with Bet365 internationally for SailGP. They're going to be betting on the teams that will make it to the finals, the winner of the events finals, the winners of each race, overall season champion. So multiple markets are going to be available both in the U.S. and overseas because of these two deals.
You see, that's great. I love the fact I love that atmosphere when there's a regatta. Like I said, we were in Newport. It's the buzzing the city, and so it's great. But it's one of those things that I don't know a lot about. I don't know what's a good team or a bad team.
Well,
or
lucky for you.
So is there like some podcasts or some?
They do a podcast on SailGP.
Okay, great, good. I need to know that.
And part of the deal is also on-site activations, which teach the racing rules of the league.
Where are you on site?
When you're at the event.
Oh, when you're at the
event.
When
you're betting, if you go to watch the event.
Okay.
Because they just started this for the.
So what state are we talking about?
The Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
Okay,
which just happened June 7th and 8th.
Okay, so what?
That was the first one.
So
betting was allowed on.
We're in a state that has a lot of shoreline. Are they doing anything?
Only where they're doing the races.
Only when they're doing. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, New York isn't tough to get. You just jump in your car and go half hour north.
And they just expanded the league. Now we've got a new team coming in that's going to be owned by Hugh Jackman and Ryle Reynolds.
See, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and it's going to be sponsored by a fitness/underwear brand from Australia.
Okay.
So it's going to be all Australian.
Now, are they going to look like race cars kind of thing? Are they going to have all the logos all over them?
I think so. I haven't seen the actual boats.
All right.
The catamarans are kind of specially designed for this.
Okay, which are the ones...
That's the two
pontoons kind of thing? I'm sure that's not the right term. Two hull, and it has that thing
canopy
across
right in the
it, canopy.
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay.
So... brand new sport to bet on.
Those things are the ones that really lean back, right?
Yeah.
People have to lean over and turn it and stuff. Okay.
And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth on an upcoming episode of Turnpike Sports for this too.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk a little bit more.
I should look up yachts and stuff like that and catamarans,
or at least go to SailGP
or
and familiarize yourself
and
with
take a look at it. So all right.
But congratulations, SailGP. They wanted to expand the audience. What better way to expand your audience than get sports betting?
Hey, that's great.
Next, we'll probably see some prize picks or fantasy sports outfits getting involved.
I hope so.
That's it for the deals. We'll start talking industry updates right after this break.
You may want to attend college,
but you have a full-time job and kids that need your full-time attention.
How can you possibly attend college?
You learn online at South University.
Earn your degree any hour, any day, from anywhere.
And the credit transfer policies also make it easier to return to college.
The convenience of taking classes where you want.
The flexibility of taking classes when you want.
So you can become who you want.
South University Online.
Call 800-836-3936.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Book Report. Doug Weischadle here with Dave Weischadle. We're going to start off the industry updates in the state of Ohio. Mm-hmm. Now, when Ohio's sports betting industry launched, as everyone in the industry knows, there were multiple different types of licenses given out, and one was called a Type C sports betting kiosk license. Mm-hmm. And we saw them proliferate throughout the state right at the beginning. They had about 772 locations that had a kiosk, and they were all run by three entities: Bet Skybox, Intralot Sports Bet Ohio brand, and You Bet Ohio.
Okay.
As of June 22nd, the Ohio Lottery has reported that Intralot will be exiting the market. So after Intralot exits the market, because Bet Skybox exited back, will be back in July of 2024. Mm-hmm. Sportsbet Ohio will be leaving the market on the same day as Intralot. Once everything happens on June 22nd, no more kiosk betting. It was viewed as a huge failure by the state.
Well, look, I mean, I'm sure kiosk betting had a place in sports betting history early on after 2018, but look, if you're in a casino where usually these kiosks are, usually have your phone with you. So if you need to make a bet, you usually make a bet. If you're not doing it at the retail book, you're probably doing it on your phone. I mean, I don't know.
It didn't quite work out the way they anticipated.
I think I made one time I did a bet on a kiosk, and that was just for curiosity.
Well, these kiosks are outside the casinos.
Well, okay. Well, what do you mean outside?
Supermarkets, all that stuff.
Yeah, but still, the one thing is you have your phone.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where...
Well, that was the problem.
Yeah, you have your phone. Yeah. I mean, hey, time moves on. You know what? My first job out of law school, I had to get a beeper. Remember those things?
I remember those.
Now, we don't need them anymore because we have a phone.
Beepers, radar detectors, all gone the way of the dodo.
I mean, are kiosks going to go the way of the beeper?
Yes.
Maybe.
Probably.
Because you got your phone with you.
Yeah. Well, there won't be any in Ohio. Well, maybe one or two independent ones, but other than that,
I don't know. Maybe.
But sad to see them go, but
I
probably
always
a
thought
smart
they
move.
always thought they were kind of like a smart move if you were in line of a supermarket
And you didn't have a phone.
Didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
Maybe you're
When do you not
online.
have a phone
It's like
now?
that impulse buy kind of thing. But seriously, everyone has their phone. Everyone's carrying their phone. You go to the supermarket. I'm making the the example of a supermarket, but people use their phones to either pay for their stuff or scan some items in or clip coupons on their phone. So they usually have their phone at supermarkets. So, it's, like I said, is kiosk the version of beepers now? They're going out of style.
Moving over to the state of Kentucky, we've got Circa Sports Kentucky debuting their new retail sportsbook at the Mint Gaming Hall at Kentucky Downs in Franklin, Kentucky. It's a 21 and over venue. It'll feature an 80-foot wide LED screen, a 31-foot wide odds board. It will also have
Circa always does things big, don't they?
It will have
it's
premium.
Great. I love it.
It will have premium seating of 113 stadium-style seats.
That's great.
Betting access with 5 staff betting stations, as well as 4 self-service kiosks, and a live broadcast studio for VEASAN.
See, I just went off on kiosks, and they're putting kiosks in. So
well, this is inside the casino, inside the gaming.
No. Hey, you know what? The kind of crowd Circa gets, that's the kind of place you probably need kiosks. If you like to go up that feeling of going up to a window, and the window's not available, you got a kiosk right there. So if you enjoy stuff like that, or as always, you always have your phone. So no, but good for Circa and good for the people of Kentucky. That's great.
Moving over to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we now have SC Gaming LLC announcing the official name and logo of its forthcoming casino at the old Nittany Mall. It will be called the Happy Valley Casino.
Oh, all right.
That'll be...
Sounds like a pleasant place, doesn't it?
Well, it's Happy Valley, Pennsylvania.
I know, but it always sounds like a pleasant place.
It's already underway construction. It'll be open early spring 2026. 750 slots, 30 table games, full-service restaurant, and a quick-serve dining option.
Okay.
You
mean like a food court? Is that
basically.
They're calling it a quick serve dining option.
That's usually what they call them anyway.
That's marketing speak.
Yes.
I love that.
Moving over into our cease and desist world here, we've just got Michigan Gaming Control Board announcing 6 more cease and desists went out. Do you want to take a guess on some of these names?
I don't. Look, the most fascinating thing about these cease and desists and the actions that these states are taking is I'm learning that there are so many platforms that I don't know about. I mean, do you have the names of them?
Bonus Blitz Casino.
Don't know it.
Dom Game.
Nope.
Royal Ace Casino.
Nope.
Slots Capital.
Nope.
Supernova Casino. And Wins Mania.
Nope. Never heard of any of them.
Well,
see, and that's... It's certainly when you get a cease and desist, it's not a great thing or it's not a happy time. No. But for me, I learn about how many of these platforms are out there. I mean, I've never heard of those before.
Well, New York is now adding,
New York is doing it now with sweepstakes.
Attorney
casinos.
General Letitia James just sent cease and desists to 26 online platforms in the sweepstakes
26?
26.
Wow.
Well, it's the first time they're
Some
doing
of the,
it. So.
You're not going to name them all, are you?
No, I don't. They didn't include them in the press release.
Oh, okay. Because some of those I might have heard of because if they have television commercials, because we're getting bombarded with commercials for casinos, not the legal licensed online casinos, but also some of this sweepstakes casinos. So.
And last but not least, for the segment, we've got Caesars Entertainment announcing that it's continuing to expand its horse racing integration on its sportsbook. They now have Caesars Racebook integrated into the Caesars Sportsbook in Indiana and Illinois. They joined Colorado, Kentucky, Maryland, Ohio, and New York. And the reason they did those 2 states, Indiana and Illinois, was to catch the beginning of the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga Racecourse.
Okay.
That happened right before that race.
All right. Good. And I'm noticing New Jersey is still not on that list. Nope. Okay.
So congratulations
we got some pretty good
to
tracks
Indiana
here in
and
Jersey.
Illinois. They're covered in there.
Love it.
You can bet on them from
I know,
the app,
but
you just can't bet on them in New Jersey.
Not when I'm sitting in New Jersey. I can't. So
that's it for the industry updates. We're going to finish up with our legislative roundup. Starting off our legislative roundup, we're going to start off in Illinois. Illinois just passed a new budget that kind of changed the rules on taxation for sports betting. We now have a 25-cent tax per wager to the first 20 million online sports wagers made every year. After those 20 million, it will be 50 cents per sports wager for each additional bet.
How about those $2 bettors out there, huh? Boy, they're going to feel the bite on that one, huh?
Yeah. Well, you may start seeing some minimum bets.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that could make sense here. But again, a lot of the operators are upset, but no one said they're leaving. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where that happens. And again, it just passed. There'll probably be some loopholes someone's going to figure out somewhere along the lines like everybody else does. But moving over to the state of Louisiana, we're back in Louisiana. Both the House and Senate have approved unanimously a bill to ban sweepstakes gambling. It has already gone to the governor for signature by the time this is aired. Whether he has signed it by the time this airs, we don't know, but it is on his desk.
You want to see a lot of states doing this.
Yes. And last but not least, we're going up to the state of Maine.
I heard about this. Yeah.
Well, it's LD 1164. Mm-hmm. Now, this was the online casino bill that was kicked about last year, and it never went anywhere. It was in the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee for this past month or so, and it passed with an ought-to-pass amended vote, which means they're recommending that this passes through. What the bill would do is legalize online casinos for the Wabanaki Nations, creating licenses for the 4 tribes. Mm-hmm. Now, they did this with the online sports betting side, and 3 went with DraftKings, 1 went with Caesars.
Okay.
So I don't know how they're going to be breaking up the online casino entities. So that,
by the way,
it hasn't gone to the point where it's going to be voted on yet by either House or Senate. Mm-hmm. So it may just get out of this committee and then stop there.
Yeah.
But right now, it got out of the committee.
The way I found out about this is the main gaming, whatever they call it up there.
Main gambling control unit.
Whatever they do. I think they tweeted it.
Yes.
So, and I saw it, and I think I showed it to you.
Well, they're a big proponent of this.
Look what they're tweeting.
Well, they're the 18%.
Should I use tweeting? Xing. I don't know what the hell they're calling
it. The 18% tax under the bill would go to gambling addiction prevention, veteran housing, and opioid use treatment.
All right, good.
So we'll see exactly where they go with this. Well, that's it for another edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report. If you've been watching on TV, there has been a ticker flying by below us, which has domestic and international gaming stories, as well as conference announcements and sponsorship announcements as well. And as this show is released on Monday mornings, as always, you'll see a full print version of the Turnpike Sports Book Report on our blog, turnpikesports.us. Click on the blog button, and you'll see stories in print form that we talked about on air, stories in the ticker, and stories we didn't have a chance to talk about anywhere else on our blog. Announcements, conferences, info at turnpikesportsradio.com, and we'll continue working with everybody to get the stories covered.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.